Bon après-midi, mesdames et messieurs. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Buenas tardes, señoras y señores. Welcome to ICAO SkyTalks. This is day 3, session 14. In order to learn more about this in detail, I invite you to check out session 13, which just ended. I have some questions that came to me just recently. First and foremost, the slides that you see here on either side is to help you understand the presentation better. However, when you see the people live, you will not see the presentations. If you want to see them, please make sure to ask us for them and we'll provide them for you. Moreover, we are coming to you live, so for that reason, please make sure to put your phones on silent mode, and please refrain from asking questions till after the presentation. State your name, state your questions clearly, and we'll get to you as soon as possible. Also, there's an incredible array of information from the people who make the rules to the people who implement the rules in private industries. So you have the best of both worlds. So make sure to feel free to ask questions because this is not a classroom setting in that you just sit down and listen, but you can hear answers from the best people. First and foremost, just a short story to lead into this experience or presentation. I've had the opportunity to grow up here in Montreal. I speak 5 languages. I traveled to over 2 dozen, almost 3 dozen countries. I thought I knew something until I went to Asia. And then you go to cities like Shenzhen and Shanghai and Tokyo and Seoul and Singapore and Hong Kong, a lot of these cities that have 10 to 24 million people, and you see that in the scope of things, it brings you down to reality. Then you learn that there's a lot more to know and to learn. Well, our next presenter, he offers the best of both worlds, meaning that Mr. Simon Lee, VP at Variflight, has a Western education and is able to implement his know-how and his experience in China, one of the biggest country with 1.4 billion people, and implement their know-how. Now, he's going to tell you a little bit more about China's experience and perspective on ASBU, which we just talked about, which is the Aviation System Block Upgrades. Please welcome VP Simon Lee.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. My name is Simon Lee. I'm actually from Variflight. We are an aviation data and technology company based in China. So today, I do appreciate the opportunity to introduce our business practice and the thoughts on the future of airport operations, as well as air navigation based upon our actual solutions in China. So obviously, deriving from Global Air Navigation Plan, the ASBU, the Aviation System Block Upgrade modules converge actually over time under target operational concepts and also performance improvements, together with technology roadmaps that supporting the transformation. So during our years of experience, Variflight has actually been focusing on the development of what we call A-CDM, Airport Collaborative Decision-Making System, as well as what we call which is alternative surveillance. We believe that the use of Internet of Things, big data, AI, as well as cloud computing and other technologies are the key to achieve the ASBU vision. So new and emerging technologies really have the potential to improve the safety as well as the efficiency, decrease expenses, and also reduce human errors, and to promote remote and inter-collaboration across industry players. Next. I'll just briefly present some of our contributions to ASBU from existing practices and in both A-CDM and SOR. I hope this could actually be our way of contribution to ASBU and also the No Country Left Behind initiatives that are being promoted by ICAO. So we know that obviously China's economic development in the last few years has been nothing but short of phenomenal. So despite the fact that high-speed rail is actually providing a really comprehensive and a competitive alternative to domestic air travel in China, but China has continuously witnessed really, really remarkable passenger traffic growth. So, however, the economic development and the air transport industry has not really been even across our vast country, as you can actually see from the PowerPoint slide. So obviously, the picture on the left, you can see the eastern part of China has really more airports and also greater air connectivity. Excessive centralization of large hubs and the rapid development of passengers throughput have been causing the problem of this content on-time performance. So many airports in China have actually suffered quite badly from high delay rates. Also showing that it is an urgent matter for the entire industry. So not only airlines, but also airports, ATC units, and the other players that have to work together. Well, we adopt ICAO's ASBU initiatives as well as learning experience and the lessons from practices for the implementation of A-CDM across the world. We find that the lack of needed data is actually a major concern. So in order to solve this problem, we have created a technology roadmap following data collection and the data sharing, data analysis, and also what we call smart dispatching or intelligent dispatching. For flight turnarounds, the life cycle can be actually divided into some 40 timestamps, of which 22 are actually really key to the improving of efficiency. And these 22 have also been identified by our national regulator, the CAAC. So we believe airport operational inefficiency must also be addressed primarily through the automatic collection of data, and as well as actual activity timestamps and the historical data analyzed. Meanwhile, accurate data and the related analytics have actually shared among relevant parties in order to harmonize airport operations. So these are some of the key technologies really involved, ranging from Internet of Things, mobile internet, cloud services, to AI. So it is really worth mentioning that China has an exceptional advantage in terms of technology and manufacturing, so which plays an important role in terms of lowering the cost for A-CDM implementation. And I will just show you some of the examples. By applying Internet of Things technology into what we call aircraft electronic blocks, we realized that automatic acquisition of in-block and off-block time with sensors actually installed in the electronic blocks and the narrowband Internet of Things, it will realize signal transmission as well. So, and also by reutilization of the current video resources, like video cameras, aircraft time can be analyzed with AI technology. So a lot of the video monitors in Chinese airports, especially the ones for the parking bays, we use them to record and analyze push-in and push-back time, as well as passenger boarding bridge, their connect and disconnect time, and also when the cabin door has been opened. Also, ground vehicle activities are also being tracked by the means of GPS tracking, and also we are trying to look at other ways as well. Take the example of China has its own, beidou tracking, so we may possibly consider beidou tracking in the future. And then also we have electronic fencing as well. So such as the timestamps of when they started refueling, when they started catering, it could be automatically collected. In terms of aircraft monitoring, we have ground ADSB, which is applied to realize more timely data acquisition, which has gradually reduced the cost of collecting flight data. As for trajectory tracking, we take real-time analysis and then computed calculation, as well as we provide direct and effective analysis on more accurate ETAs. So time data passing each waypoints, and also the route traffic flow can also be recorded and analyzed. Accurate data enables the development of machine learning and AI. For instance, airport display screens actually show real-time movements on the ground and both runway. And also regarding AI technology, we provide airports with dynamic personnel and vehicle dispatching based on flight operations to continually promote efficiency and reduce man-made interference. So besides flexible stand allocation is another thing that is applied in accordance with flight operations in promote the utilization rate of passenger boarding bridges and aircraft stands. So China's experience in A-CDM implementation shows that obviously achievements in airport ground operations, first of which is to increase the ETA accuracy. So I'm taking the example of Kunming Airport, which is our first client of our A-CDM system. So before the A-CDM implementation, obviously the ETA estimation within 5 minutes were pretty low. They were around 60–65%. After the A-CDM implementation, it has increased to above 80% and kept that way for the time being. And also, secondly, it is actually the rating of on-time performance. For example, the on-time performance of Shanghai Pudong Airport, which is another of our clients, before the implementation of A-CDM system, they were constantly below 70%, sometimes even 40–50%. But after our A-CDM implementation, the on-time performance has grown tremendously and kept above 70%. So during our practice in China, we have also discovered the situations that really differed from A-CDM implementation in other countries, because where A-CDM systems in other countries are mainly installed at large airports, but in China that's not really the case. Both large and small airports, as well as medium-sized airports, are all using the A-CDM systems. So I'm just going to take 2 examples. So let's say the medium-sized airports. I'll take the example of Zhuhai Airport and also the Mianyang Airport, which is located in Sichuan province. So these 2 airports have actually witnessed passenger throughput growth of above 50% for the last few months. And obviously, resources are very limited. So taking the example of Zhuhai Airport, the airport even had to use some of the aircraft stands that are being normally reserved for Airshow China, which takes place once every 2 years. And then for Mianyang Airport, it is an airport that attracts traffic from nearby southwestern China, the large hubs like Chengdu and Chongqing. So it has witnessed a remarkable growth as well. And also, the second thing I want to touch on is that A-CDM could actually really enhance the cooperative effect of remote airports. In China, things are a little bit different because we see a lot of the Chinese airports that are really divided by provincial or regional airport groups. So in order for the remote airports or the smaller airports to work more efficiently, they have to share and exchange data with their regional hubs. So I'm also taking the example of Kunming Airport. Obviously, we have also worked with other smaller airports in Yunnan province, and Kunming Airport is their capital airport in the province. It used to be that in some of the smaller airports, less than 50% of the flights in Yunnan have to collaborate and exchange data with Kunming Airport. With the operation of A-CDM at Hub Airport in Kunming, the implementation costs in the remote and smaller airports have been fairly minimal, and the average flight punctuality is now over 80%. So the improvement of collaborative capacity provides not only airlines, airports, but also we see like a lot of the online travel agencies and other industries are also using our data with more IT capability support, and also brings more passenger throughput for a lot of the airports, both big and small. So now Variflight's A-CDM system has already implemented at close to 90 airports in China, and we are also trying to explore opportunities abroad. That's the A-CDM part. And next, I would like to share some of our ideas about the build-up of a shore monitoring system. We believe the future of integration of satellite and ground-based ADS-B monitoring will become key to attract aircraft and also to make sure the data are readily available. So ground-based ADS-B equipment has been gradually become popular around the world, and we see a lot of the commercial players are really entering the market. They really help to achieve an accuracy and timeliness monitoring that is as popular as some of the radars that we have used to track aircraft by regulators and authorities. So the global layout of the satellite-based ADS-B has also begun, but there have been quite little discussion about the integration between these two. So although China's satellite-based ADS-B started a little bit later than some of the other countries, but we still have some experience in their integration, and we hope to share some of our ideas and know-how with all of you. So since the end of 2015, we have actually done data testing with some China's satellite-based ADS-B providers, and this is actually test satellite launched at the time. It's called STU-2C, and these are aircraft data being captured by STU-2C, and after 1 day and 1 month respectively. So the left one is after 1 day, and the one on the right is after 1 month. And also there is a map coverage obtained during the actual test. We can see that obviously the satellite-based ADS-B could actually cover depopulated zones and or what we call no man's land, and the oceans as well. But the ground-based ADS-B is actually better for coverage in terms of black areas of the satellite-based ADS-B in terms of mountains. So this is the display of global flights with the integration of satellite and ground-based ADS-B data. The orange dots are the satellite-based ADS-B data, and the blue dots are the ground-based ADS-B data. And we can find that they really complement each other as well. So. And next, I would like to give you some brief details on the validation of satellite-based ADS-B reception as well. So through this data, we find that both satellite and ground ADS-B have their own advantages and disadvantages. The ground-based ADS-B is actually affected by Earth's curvature, so it has low coverage at high altitudes, high coverage at really low altitudes, and low coverage in ocean areas. The coverage is limited by the number of ADS-B ground stations. For satellite-based ADS-B, it is just the opposite, as what I mentioned earlier. So the two technologies really work well with each other. However, the practice has also been proved that only the integration of satellite and the ground-based ADS-B can actually make the entire ADS-B real-time monitoring system absolutely complete. So with over 10,000 feet as the critical point, we find that the two technologies really complement each other. At the same time, the timeliness of satellite-based ADS-B data transmission is one of the things that we were a little bit concerned, because it's an important indicator for satellite-based application, but in order to make it practical and commercially good for use, the data cannot be returned within 30 seconds. That's one of our major concerns for the satellite-based ADSB. And finally, we would just like to briefly talk about some of our future developments that we have found during our practice in China over the years. So firstly, data sharing really provides the databases for what we call ASBU and the No Country Left Behind initiatives being promoted by ICAO. And everyone knows that the development of global civil aviation industry is absolutely unbalanced, even in today's age. So by exploiting internet-based capabilities, which can really help to attract more passengers and cargo, and this is true for all players. Operational data has become an important part of data to demonstrate the capabilities. Shorter turnaround time, higher passenger boarding bridge utilization rates, and also less delays will directly stimulate the airlines and the airports to look at new services, opening up new flight routes. And secondly, I will just briefly talk about machine learning, which we have done some attempts in terms of AI technology to help really with machine learning, deep learning, and this kind of things. But Variflight has really thoughts about the probability prediction of flight delays for more than 3 hours, the waiting time for flight departure and delays in extreme weather conditions. We just find the machine calculated results can be unstable, to be honest. So due to various factors, these results really cannot be used for decision making. However, in the long run, as the technology advances, we believe humans, they will keep holding the key or the right to make decision, while AI technology may be useful to assist with decision making. And fully automatic machine commanding will definitely take a long time to realize as well. So my next part and the last bit is also a little bit about our UAV industry in China. China's UAV industry is developing really rapidly, and they are being used for many applications across different sectors and industries. So they have assisted with logistics, they have assisted with public security and everything else as well. The latest figures from our national regulator, the CAAC, shows that China's UAV industry is already recording more than 1,100 manufacturers, and over 240 registered UAVs are currently in the system, which are recorded by our national regulator. So unmanned aerial vehicles in China, they have problems and challenges as well. Actually, this slide just shows some of the big jets that are using UAVs to break through their logistic nightmares. But the challenges for and problems for UAVs is that the lack of a really clearly defined national policy is currently creating some of the problems for the UAV industry in China. And we see that especially last year and the year before, we have had some instances where the UAVs were actually interfering with commercial air transport industry as well. So we have to integrate UAV-related policies into ASBU and have a clearly defined global stand as well. Actually, that concludes pretty much most of my presentation. And lastly, I will just briefly talk about our company. The company was founded in 2005, and we started our first A-CDM system and implementation in 2014. And also, like this year, we have close to 90 airports that are using our A-CDM system. We have actually formed strategic partnerships with many of the aircraft manufacturers. So COMAC, which being the local Chinese manufacturer, we have actually provided a lot of data-related services for them. So taking the example of their Variflight from Shanghai, and also for flight testing, they have actually used our interface and data to track their aircraft. And also we have worked with as what I said, aircraft manufacturers, OEMs, airlines, airports, also a lot of the technology companies like Huawei, and a lot of the other big players in other industries like OTAs, logistics, express deliveries, banks, and even insurance companies. So I think, lastly, I'll have I think I have a video that, but anyway, so that really concludes my presentation. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In your presentation, I realized that on 2 occasions you've cited
Yep.
unmanned aerial vehicles as a challenge.
Yeah.
Don't you think that it is time to look at it as an opportunity? Because gradually, the use continue to grow. And I was thinking that it's time we define it as part of civil aviation so that we can manage it properly.
Yeah, I think really, to be honest, in a lot of the countries, obviously they have their own UAV-related policies, and they all differ from each other. I just hope, conference like this, the Air Navigation Conference hosted by ICAO, they will actually form a really standardized and international policy on governing UAVs. Obviously, China being the pioneer in terms of UAV manufacturing, I think they can really have a lot of experience, know-how, and say in terms of how to help the international world to have a globally standardized policy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.